So, hello everyone, my name is Anita and today I'm joined by a recent UQ graduate and current PhD candidate, Jessie. So to start off with, would you be able to give an introduction, state what degree you did at UQ, when you graduated and what you're currently doing right now?
So the degree that I did at UQ was a Bachelor of Advanced Science, and so I majored in biology. So I graduated in 2017. And what was the final question?
What are you currently doing?
What am I doing? And so I'm doing a Doctor of Philosophy through UQ, actually at QIMR Berghofer in Hurston.
So what type of research are you doing within your PhD at the moment?
So the type of research that I'm doing my PhD is actually on viruses, which is kind of topical at the moment. In particular, I'm looking at testing vaccines or potential Zika virus vaccines in mice. And that's pretty much the predominant focus or scope of my PhD.
So why did you choose to study, I noticed you've done microbiology courses and immunology. So why did you choose to study those types of biology?
So the funny thing is when I first actually joined, started at UQ, I actually wanted to do genetics. I thought that was kind of the field for me. And then I ended up doing a couple of first year genetic courses and I actually really didn't enjoy them that much. So I actually kind of decided to do a summer research project at UQ in one of the virology labs just to try it out. And I actually had such a great time. It was super interesting. And so I kind of decided that was the pathway that I was going to take. So in terms of the courses that I thought were most useful, after doing that kind of summer research project, loved infectious diseases of some sort, including parasites and stuff. So I would say for the career path that I've decided to take, virology in third year is super, super useful. Just gives you a really kind of broad perspective of all the different viruses that exist. I think, just the general, microbiology courses, that they provide a pretty good, solid platform of understanding kind of the techniques that you use in the lab, such as, some of the practicals you do, ELISAs and that kind of thing, which is pretty standard in my field. Pretty much anything that's virology, microbiology related is pretty useful for my field.
So why did you choose a research pathway, and what were the differences between what you expected when you were going into a PhD or honours versus what it actually is like?
So I ended up obviously doing the whole virology pathway in my wanting to do the virology pathway in my undergraduate. And it was kind of really fortunate that I ended up getting into my lab here at QIMR because they were kind of solely focused, or one of the major focuses was testing vaccines for different viruses. And so that doesn't, working on Zika, for example, is not really an opportunity that comes around very much. And obviously Zika, it was a big problem in South America, and I have family in South America. So I thought it was kind of a good way of helping my family from a distance, which kind of got me into this field and why I'm kind of really passionate about working on this virus.
So what were the differences between your expectations going to research versus how you feel about it now?
Well, one of the major things, it's very different from undergraduate labs. Those kind of, you kind of think, I don't know. At least I thought, I was I don't know whether it's for me or this kind of very structured kind of labs that you do in undergraduate. But the thing in honours and PhD, you have a lot more command of what you want to do and what you want to focus on. And you do acquire a bunch of skill sets, way more than you acquire in any of those undergrad lab kind of lab sessions. It is a lot more kind of self-guided and you need a lot of self-motivation, because there's obviously no one that's going to be you have to do this assignment by this date or anything. I mean, you have milestones in your PhD, but they're once a year. So it's up to you to keep, on top of your readings or on top of your understanding of your project and what you kind of want to do in terms of, follow-on experiments and that kind of stuff.
So what are your favorite experiences outside of coursework that you did during your undergraduate degree?
So during my undergraduate degree, so in the first year, I was one of these like really nerdy people that like just went to undergraduate, did my degree, or went to uni, and then just came back home and just studied more. Did not really work out for me in the end. I just didn't kind of enjoy that kind of lifestyle. So actually, some of the things that I did outside of undergraduate is I did volunteering at the Children's Hospital, and I still do that as well. And I am a massive, like, I'm super passionate about dancing, so I essentially took up like hip hop and stuff, and also so hip hop during my undergraduate, and I still dance as well. So it's become part of who I am.
So, what are some skills that you recommend that students in the undergraduate degree that what they should like pick up in order to like help them with like a research career?
So number one is I definitely highly recommend getting some lab experience. So either volunteering and especially doing like summer research projects, just because it gives you a bit of a tiny mini glimpse of what it's like to do research. And it might either, it can either motivate you to continue down that pathway and do your honours and PhD, or it can also be a really good kind of very early awakening of what it's actually like, and maybe make a very early decision that you necessarily it's not for you. It's because you kind of don't want to end up going into honours and PhD and going, actually, this is not for me, and kind of, wasting all those years. And then I would say definitely just, making sure that you kind of not afraid of failure is another thing that's really important, especially in the field of research. Things go wrong all the time. But just knowing that, you don't take it personally, and just to kind of, put it aside and just continue going. You gotta keep motivated and just, get over obstacles. But the two major kind of, I suppose, life lessons rather than specific things like, study hard and focus and do your readings, which are really important as well. But they're probably the major two things I can think of from my undergraduate.
So when you were finding like your honours supervisor or like your PhD supervisor, how did you go about doing that?
So I do remember at the beginning of before starting honours, I did reach out to a couple of virology labs, which were the ones at UQ, but they were kind of just, struggling with funding and also with trying to be able to take on new people. So I was kind of like, oh my God, like, where am I going to find my honours, like, supervisor? But the thing is, my supervisor, that was my supervisor for my summer research project at the end of first year, had actually moved to QIMR. And so I kind of reached out to her thinking, do you know anyone else who's in virology who might be able to take me? And she was like, oh, actually, we have room, we can take you. And we're working on like Zika and that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like that is so cool. And so like, I messaged her and I got in contact with my supervisor now, who's actually both my honours and my PhD supervisor. And since then I've been here for like almost 3 to 4 years, and I'm still really enjoying it though. So, but essentially, don't be afraid of reaching out to, if there's a particular lecturer or a particular, academic that you think is really, does really interesting research. Don't be afraid to reach out to them and ask them, can you take me on for honours? Or I'm really interested in your research, or even, getting a foot in the door by volunteering and doing summer research projects as well, just because then, they might end up being your honours supervisor or something. So,
and also, what do you think are the most important things to look for when you're looking for your honours supervisor?
When looking for your honours supervisor, you probably want someone who is very willing to, have that open discussion with you in terms of actually supervising. So not necessarily someone who's like, say if they travel a lot and they're not there very often, it might be a bit difficult, because one of the major things in honours, and even in the beginning of PhDs, you're constantly going, what do I do? Kind of, what am I supposed to do? And you kind of need that assistance and guidance. So I definitely recommend a supervisor who's very open to essentially talking to you about your project, and who's got like an open door policy. But obviously supervisors who are very patient, but also still, kind of want the best from you and still push you. That's also really important, because you're never going to get anywhere if you don't get, someone doesn't challenge you or something doesn't challenge you. You need that challenge.
And what is your favourite thing about doing research?
Favourite thing about doing research? Well, although most things don't work, my favourite thing is when stuff does work, because you invest so much time and effort into a lot of these experiments, and I know I said don't take things to heart. You kind of do because of the investment that you're putting into it.
Yeah.
And so when something actually works and you see, oh my God, you know, my idea worked, or, you know, this particular vaccine worked, it like makes your day, can make your week sometimes depending on your week. But yeah, I think just those kind of like small breakthroughs in research is super interesting. And, you know, just in general, the field, from at least for me, is one of the things I really enjoy. Especially, I suppose, in the current climate with COVID, you can kind of see how important this particular field of research is.